Hello, family. Shalom. This is Stephen Hanks, another segment of Portrait Pioneers of Color. We want to talk today about who were the Hyksos or the Hyksos people that came into ancient Egypt. Who were they? A lot of people, scholars and researchers, are still trying to figure out that. Uh, Many say that they were part of the 15th dynasty of Egypt. They were a line of kings. And the word Hyksos, basically what they say it means is the king of the foreign lands, I believe. We can double check that. But who were they? And you know the only detailed account of them in any ancient writer is the ancient Egyptian historian Manetho, whose actual account of them is actually lost, but it's quoted by the Jewish historian Josephus. He has them quoted what Manetho wrote about them. And Josephus presents Manetho's account as directly connecting the Hyksos with the Israelites. What do you think about that? Now, although Josephus, seems to be arguing against many of the details of Manetho's account, he does say that Manetho was connecting the Hyksos with the Israelites. Now, according to Manetho, as told by Josephus, the uh, the Hyksos conquered Egypt without a battle, destroying cities and the temples of the gods. And according to the account, the Egyptians finally rise up with 480,000 men. They war with the Hyksos, and then they reach an agreement between the two of them, allowing the Hyksos to leave the country with their families and possessions, and then they leave Egypt and they go to Judea and they build Jerusalem. That is basically the account of the Egyptian historian and high priest Manetho. So now think about this, and so here it is. Here, Hyksos means rulers of foreign lands. Okay, and some say that they were part of the 15th dynasty. They're a line of them. But now, like I said, Manetho is connecting them with the Israelites, according to what Josephus says. So let's take a look at this a little bit more here. Um, so here is what Josephus says about them: that they are a people of ignoble origin from the east. He's quoting Manetho, whose coming was unforeseen, had the audacity to invade the country, which they mastered by main force without difficulty or even battle. Having overpowered the chiefs, they then savagely burnt the cities, razed the temples of the gods to the ground, and treated the whole native population with the utmost cruelty, massacring some, carrying off the wives and children of others into slavery. Okay, so that's part of the account there. And then it goes on to, further on, it goes on to say that Thutmose invested the walls of Avaris with an army of 480,000 men and endeavored to reduce the Hyksos to submission by siege. Despairing of achieving this object, he concluded a treaty under which the Hyksos were all to evacuate Egypt and go whither they would unmolested. Upon these terms, no fewer than 240,000 entire households with their possessions left Egypt and traversed the desert to Syria. And then the account goes on to say that they went on to go to Judea, and there they built Jerusalem. And here's a picture of a possible assault during this this particular war between the Egyptians and the Hyksos. So here's the question I want to throw out, family, is just think about this. Now we know that the true account in the Hebrew scriptures, in the Hebrew Bible, about the Israelites, that they were made slaves by the Egyptians because the Hebrews were so prosperous. And the Most High had to come and save his people by means of the 10 plagues. Okay? So we know this in Scripture. The Most High had to come and save his people through the leadership of Moses by means of the 10 plagues. We know that the boils, the locust, the frogs, the gadflies, the hail, the darkness, and all the firstborn dying, even the firstborn of Pharaoh and the firstborn of the animals, all died. Now, the pharaohs who chased after them, chased after the Hebrews with their army of chariots, according to the Hebrew scriptures, they all drowned in the Red Sea. And there's Pharaoh there. He was even in charge, leading on to gather those people back, one of those Israelites back, because he didn't want to lose that slavery that he had going for him and for the economy of Egypt. So they went after them, they chased them, they all drowned in the Red Sea. That was a humiliation. In fact, we can read at the scripture there in Exodus chapter 14. It talks about how the Israelites went through the midst of the sea on dry ground, while the waters formed a wall on the right hand and on the left. The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses, his war chariots, and his cavalrymen began going after them into the midst of the sea. The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses, his war chariots, cavalrymen be going after them. And there was a song that was sung after that battle, after what had happened. It says that I will sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. Both the horse and driver he has hurled into the sea. Pharaoh's chariots and his army he has hurled into the sea. The best of Pharaoh's officers drowned in the sea. Okay, so we remember that account, don't we, friends? We remember that account of what happened there. So it was a complete humiliation. So my point is how would the Egyptian officials and the high priests, how are they going to explain this of what happened to their mighty Pharaoh and to the Israelites that they had? Nothing in the Egyptian historical records admit anything about the God Jehovah or Jehovah who had brought this humiliating defeat upon Egypt. See, there's nothing in their records that talk about this. So the officials and the high priest, they had to come up to invent some story, some narrative, some version in order to save face and explain this to the Egyptian people. So family, let us know what you think about this and share your comments and thoughts. Were the Hyksos, were they the Israelites? Was that part of the biblical record of the Hyksos people?